Bulldog bagged and landed himself in trouble, although he sought to clarify what he meant when he said that the President, President Akufo-Addo, will run and will not finish his second term of office if he does not pay the locked-up funds of aggrieved Menzgold customers. Yesterday, we were told that the police has picked him up for questioning, and so we tabled this for a discussion on this Bloggers Forum episode, which happens to be the first for the year 2021. My name is Benefo Boabin Abrantipa. Welcome to Bloggers Forum on Ghana Web TV. Welcome back to the show. So Bulldog is an artist manager, and he happened to be one of the panelists for the United Showbiz show, which airs on UTV and is hosted by Nanama McBrown. Here is what happened on Saturday in case you missed the show.
Yes,
oh, scan the ever. Nagana Robert Johnny on 4 years. I'm telling you, you're not going to finish in 4 years. Listen, my point is that we'll see UTV.
What threatening president?
So just shut up. That's none of your business.
Who doesn't shut up?
No, you say I'm threatening. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said it.
Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said the president cannot finish his 4 years. Is that right?
So what? I'm going to shoot the president or kill the president.
The things you are saying, I'll be called as a witness.
No, nobody will call you as a witness.
And Bulldog. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And Bulldog, before you go, I want you to retract. That's
exactly what I'm about to say, sir. You see, you can't interjection, and then there is no way I have anything personal against the president. I am a citizen. So, me can't say me kunu, and I say me I have not threatened him. I'm saying, sir, he should pay the customers because onunimre and the customers near them omuluzi ne omusika. That's what I was trying to say.
All right, I got you.
So over the period, we've witnessed a number of demonstrations. Customers of Menzgold have staged numerous demonstrations against Nana Mensah and the government to demand the payment of their locked-up funds. But the government says it is not going to use the taxpayers' money to pay customers who engage in a business that is said as 419. According to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, the customers were cautioned on a number of occasions to desist from investing in the gold dealership firm, but they did not listen. And so if you invested in Menzgold, you did so at your own peril. Essentially, if you invested in Menzgold, Sikano, Ashe. Well, that's the situation we find ourselves in, and that's what influenced Bulldog's statement on UTV last Saturday. We tabled this for a discussion. I've been joined by my colleagues via Zoom. NYDJ writes for nydjlive.com, one of the astute bloggers that we have in Ghana. On the way, now you say Accra no pa de so be betna de lalai. We're still based in Kumasi. NY, welcome.
Thank you very much, Abrantipa.
Nice one. How's the new year treating you?
Well, so far so good. We're looking forward to a better year. Of course, last year was, it had all its own challenges, but each year comes with its own. But we are hoping that this year will be far better than we did experience last year. So far, so good.
Nenebi is a columnist, a lawyer in the making. He's a poet. He's a accolades no cry be a day.
I'm an author of a book that will be coming out in March.
Nene, welcome.
Thank you.
How is the new year treating you too?
We are trying to, I'm trying to put finishing touches to a book I'm putting out in March. So far, I've not really realized we're in a new year, but I started working on it in December. So from December till now, we've been trying to work. So whether new year or no new year, it's just work going on.
Arnold Asamoah-Bedu writes for entertainmentgh.com. Arnold was on the show last Saturday. Even when he doesn't appear on shows that bring about controversies, he's still part of us. We've been doing this show with Arnold, and so Arnold joins me on this show. Guys, thank you for joining us on Bloggers Forum. Welcome. Let me begin with NYDJ. NY, so did it come to you as a surprise that Bulldog had been picked up, or from what you watched, you were expecting it?
I wasn't too surprised when I heard that he'd been picked up. You know, watching from what happened or what transpired on the night, it was more like you say it was an irresponsible statement coming in from Bulldog. At the moment, almost everybody on the show felt like he was getting into a very sloppy turf, and they actually tried to draw his attention to it, which he tried to clarify. And I think it could have been best done if he had just retracted it and apologized or something. But you know, this is Bulldog. He felt like he had a point to actually explain or prove what he really meant and what he wanted to say. So I'm not really surprised that he was picked up for questioning as to what exactly he meant by his statements on the show the other night.
Nene, you think his rights are being trampled upon? Did what he say really? Is it a problem? Is there anything wrong with the comments that Bulldog made?
I don't want to pontificate on that because I'm not sure what he meant by the statement he made. You understand? The statement he made was quite ambiguous, in my opinion. When he said the president will be Janeno, what did he mean by that? Did he mean that the president will be impeached? Did he mean that the president will resign? Did he mean that the president would run and leave the country? You know, it wasn't clear what he meant, or whether there will be a coup, whether the president will be, you know, assaulted or battered. It wasn't clear what he meant. So, as to whether the statement was right or wrong, that one I wouldn't want to deliberate on that. Whether his rights are being trampled upon, I would say no, because the statement he made was not clear. It's only right that the security agencies would call him to explain what he meant by the statement. And, you know, at least put it on record that if something should happen to the president, he should be a person of of suspect. He should be a person of suspect. So I think the security people are just doing their job. As to unless he's still in the custody, that is what I have an issue with, because why is he still in custody? Because he was picked up early days yesterday, right?
No, I'm told what late afternoon.
Late afternoon, and what? So it means that it's almost 24 hours he's been in their custody. And what level of questioning is he being subject to that would take up to 24 hours to, you know, to finish? That is where my issue is, the fact that he's still in custody. But being picked up for questioning, I don't have any problem.
You noted that there was no clarity in what he said, for which reason it is right for the security agency to invite him or pick him up for interrogation. But there is that part of the video where he makes mention of the fact that he doesn't have any problem with the president, and that the comments that he made was not to threaten the president, but he only wanted to say that the president, one way or the other, being the cause of the locked up funds, or being the reason the funds have been locked up, needs to pay the people before he exits. Is that not a good explanation, or is that not clarity enough?
Yeah, so what he meant by the explanation is still not clear. You understand? When you say I don't hate the president, yes, there are so many people who may want harm on the president without hating the president. You know, sometimes it's not only people you hate that you attack. You may have issue with somebody. That doesn't necessarily mean that you hate the person. You understand? And he said it's not a threat. However, did he mean the legal definition of threat, or he meant the English definition of threats?
What's the difference between the two?
When you say threats, legally speaking, when it could mean that he means physical harm. You understand? Legally, maybe it could mean physical harm. However, that's not the only form of harm. When you say somebody, you threaten somebody and they resign, even though that's not a physical harm, it's also a threat. And the English definition of threat doesn't go to only just the physical harm.
Okay. Let me bring in Arnold. Arnold was on the show when all this happened. At a point, when Bulldog made the comment, I could hear Arnold say Abutre, Abutre. Looks like he noticed that Bulldog was going on a slippery turf. Arnold, welcome. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah. How serious is this comment?
Well, first of all, I believe we have all noticed and observed Bulldog for quite a while. And in the last couple of months, he's noted for making such commentary. I mean, if anybody has followed Bulldog, has followed the entertainment industry for a while, and is surprised about the commentary he passed, then I don't know. And especially when it comes to Menzgold related issues, Bulldog is always emotional. Anybody can check and analyze Bulldog's commentary against the sitting president when it comes to Menzgold related issue. So it didn't come as a surprise to me, and I'm sure it didn't come as a surprise to a lot of people who have followed Bulldog and the Menzgold related issue in regard to the sitting president. Yes, it sounded a bit dangerous, it sounded out of place, but it is Bulldog, and that's how he's managed his communication when it comes to this particular matter.
Is that to say that I mean, because it's Bulldog and how he speaks, picking him up was out of place?
Well, I was listening to Nenebi, and then he justified he being picked up, and I was expecting him to educate all of us with a certain law or a certain directive that justifies why he should be picked up. I mean, I stand to be educated and edified that if there's any law or there's any directive that is backing his picking up, then Nenebi and you guys should inform me, because at the end of the day, I'm looking for that charge. So he's there for, he's being charged with what exactly? You understand? Because in as much as it sounded dangerous and out of place, I mean, let's also be fair. There's freedom of speech, and although there are some limitations when it comes to rights and some laws, let's understand that freedom of speech. And again, the criminal libel law was included as way back in 2001. So for some of us, we stand to be educated and edified. So he's being picked up based on what exactly. So Nenebi is justifying it. So probably he can educate us on why he's been picked up based on what law or what directive. Because as far as I sit here, I'm a little confused. Yes, I admit that the commentary sounded out of place. And even with that commentary, and Nenebi was right when he says it's quite ambiguous. Although it sounded a bit dangerous and it looked like a big threat, it's ambiguous. Because if he says the president would not finish his term, it could also mean that maybe the customers of Menzgold or the clients of Menzgold would embark on some massive demonstration that may compel the president to resign. That is the president not finishing his fourth term. You get it? So it's very ambiguous. So if he's been picked up,
what about the president will run?
Will run to where? I mean, you can figure out a speech. Where is he running to? You understand? Where is he running to? So it's very ambiguous
because he didn't run.
With regards to, if I may come in here, with regards to what Arnold just said, and I think we might all be rushing into saying that, okay, was picked up for the comments he passed. It's simply because we are all looking at what just happened the previous weekend or the past weekend. And that's why we are thinking, okay, he was picked for comments he passed on the president, which might not be well in place. We've been able to establish that the comment, as Arnold said, was dangerous, like he was getting onto a slippery turf, as you put it. I mean, we've all established that it could be because of the comments he passed on the show the other weekend or the other week, which we all say that is quite ambiguous because the statement could mean so many things. Now, if they could mean so many things and we are unable to actually say why they picked him up, then we can't actually ask which questions they're asking him, if you are getting me right. Like, he's now in there. Now, for what reason has he been picked up? That should be able to help us then know that, okay, he has to be answering these questions, and for what offense is he being charged with? Till date, we don't even know what offense he's being charged with.
Yeah, because we reached out to the police, and then Efia Tingi, and then she told us that she is unaware of his arrest. We tried to call Bulldog and his phone was off. So, you know, we had to run with the information that we had from close associates source.
So at the end of the day, we might just be jumping the gun into saying that he was perhaps picked out because of what happened on the show, because we don't even know the charge yet. Do you get it? We don't even know the charge yet. If we know the charge and the charge says that, listen, maybe treason, you were on a show and threatened that the president might not finish his term. This is how we interpret it. And for that, it's treason. That's why it's been picked up. Then fine. But since we do not know, we might all just be running with a commentary and thinking that, okay, it was picked up because of what happened over the weekend, which to us or to me makes a lot of sense, perhaps because of what he said on the show. It is only right that the security apparatus or the security service actually pick him up and say, listen, you pass these comments, we feel this and that and that, and so we want you to explain to us. But until the charges are really out, it will be very difficult for us to get deeper into it and say, listen, what he said was not treason, what he said was not that, it was not that dangerous. What the security operatives are doing is just a show of Yanchen Bibi Kakra, or you know, that kind of thing. Arnold said something about how Bulldog has been and how he reacts when it comes to issues of Menzgold and he being emotional. Fine, that's understandable. But I think we just need to be a little bit more responsible in some of these utterances. Let's not forget, like Arnold said, yes, that is Bulldog. And for any reason, because it's Bulldog, anybody from the political divide might want to say, okay, we know where you stand, we know where you come from when it gets to the president. So in as much as you might have said something that is not too demeaning or not too challenging, we still need to silence him a little bit, that kind of thing. But somebody could be playing with power in a certain funny way, or it could be that they feel what he said on the show was that dangerous for them to want to pick him up.
Okay, so Nene, you wanted to educate us on the criminal libel law.
The repealing of the criminal libel law, right, has to do with defamation. The criminal libel law dealt with criminalizing defamation. So when you defame somebody, the person has what's the name? Has a can say civil action with you, but the state cannot take action against you criminally. That's what the criminal libel law deals with. It doesn't deal with every issue of free speech. You understand? Because there was a time when you say anything against the government could imprison you under the criminal libel law when you are not able to prove. But in journalism, you know that in journalism, sometimes your sources are not clear. So you cannot, what's the name? You cannot provide proof for some of the things you are saying because you have to protect your sources in journalism. So the criminal libel law was created for people to be able to protect journalists against things of defamation and not things that borders on what some people might refer to as threats. However, I'm not sure what he has been charged with, but there are a few things I can think about, right? In the Constitution of Ghana, in the chapter that deals with free speech, I don't want to misquote, so I don't want to unquote it. There are exceptions to the free speech rule in the Constitution. And one of those things is publishing of material which the states considers to be harmful to the public, public security, public health, and public and to the public interest, right? So when you publish any material, and speech is a publication, and in law, speech is publication. When you publish material which is dangerous to the states, right, it is a criminal offense. And the definition of states, the president is part of the definition of states in the Constitution because the president represents in the Constitution, right? The word government means executive authority, and the executive authority is vested in the president. So in the Constitution, the government is equal to the president. So when you attack a president, it is considered you have attacked the state. You understand? For which reason the state may want to protect the president against your attack. So I can think of that from that angle. That is why I read I don't know how to read it, but I read it was national security or BNI that picked him up.
Okay.
Those are institutions that protect the states, not you know, the individuals in the states.
Okay, quickly, let's look at the final issue and then we wrap up. So one thing that has actually become part of the conversation is the host of the show, Mark Brown, that people say that her inability to exert certain level of control contributed to this. I don't know what you guys make of it. Let me begin with Arnold on this one.
I struggle to figure out why people would want to pin this on her. I mean, this is not the first time we've seen such a scenario on radio and on television. Yes, I've heard people talk about, her inability to call for a retraction there and then. I mean, these are emotions flying all over. Yes, you expect the host to command some level of control and some level of supervision over the show. But yeah, it happens. I mean, we've seen high-profile presenters in situations like this. We've seen, the Kujo Ponkumens in fracas like that. We've seen the Bernard Ables having difficulty controlling their panelists and left, right, center. I mean, they're very much experienced presenters. We've seen such situations. And so, yes, I admit that as a presenter, as a human being, as a host, she has her own feelings. But I seriously struggle to figure out why anybody would lay 100% blame on Nanama McBrown. You get it. And yesterday I also got into a banter with a few of our colleagues who said, and then she didn't ask for a retraction. But then the tape, at the latter part of the show, she asked Bulldog to retract. As to whether what Bulldog offered was a retraction or explanation, that's on Bulldog. But for the presenter, whether she called for the retraction there and then or later on during the show, there's a retraction. And so, yes, I admit that she has feelings just like any other presenter, but I find it extremely difficult to understand or fathom why anybody would want to pin it on her as a host.
And why your take on that?
Like Arnold said, I mean, radio presenters or hosts, there's a reason why we have a host and we have a guest. Obviously, you actually direct the communication and whatever goes on in a show. You might not be able to detect or know what everybody is coming to say on the show. Obviously, when emotion setting, certain words might fly about and all that. As a host, you have every right to actually draw somebody's attention to something you feel was said that was not right, which I think Nanama did at the latter part of her show, like Arnold said. But as to what Bulldog really said, if that's a retraction or it was just more about he trying to explain what he meant by the statement he had made earlier, that's another thing. So for me, we shouldn't just be pinning the thing on Nanama McBrown, because of course the show has producers as well who are watching from behind and telling her whatever is happening and feeding her with information. It's a whole team. Most of the time when these things happen, you only get to see the face. Okay, I'm the one on everybody's looking at, or I'm the one that's speaking into the microphone. But there's a producer behind who is working on certain things that nobody gets to see. Do you get it? So we can't just pin everything on Nanama and say, listen, Nanama as a host wasn't tough enough. And then the thing had been said. Do you get it? And Nanama didn't know where Bulldog was going to land. Do you get it? So all she had to do is when she realized that, listen, what Bull had said was perhaps not right, it was only right that she drew Bulldog's attention to it so that it will call for a retraction or an apology, or to better explain what he said so that it wouldn't be miscommunicated or it wouldn't be misunderstood. And I think she did perfectly that. So we can't really be putting the blame on Nanama and say, listen, she should have called for a retraction there and then. Even if she had called for the retraction, which she did, and Bulldog had said whatever, whoever is in charge, whichever security authority are in charge, might still want to do what they want. You get it? So at the end of the day, they might also present the video and say, listen, at the end of the day, when we realized that we had gone onto a turf or what we said was not well understood, we decided to explain it. And that video could actually be pointed out, which I think we've all seen that video as well. As to how it will be defended is another thing. So for me, we shouldn't pin the thing on the number ground.
Okay, Nene, under 1 minute, do you think that with these comments about Nanama McBrown, people are being fair to her, or it's a needless attack?
It's obviously a needless attack, because the first video I watched of the exchange, it was 43 seconds. And then within that 43 seconds, there was what Bulldog said. There was when Efiaso Asnega came in, and then there was when Nana McBrown came in. And all those things happened in less than 1 minute. You understand? It's not like Nana McBrown couldn't have anticipated when Bulldog started talking and finished talking in less than 20 seconds what he was going to say. You understand? She's not a magician to have read Bulldog's mind, to know that word he was going to use within seconds. And then when she came to a realization, okay, this is what this person said, and it could have been dangerous, she gave him the chance to make his case, whether to retract or not. And then he chose to explain what he said.
Right, and I'm sure at this point all have been said by my colleagues. Anoda Samuabedu writes for entertainmentgh.com. Nenebi is a columnist. NYDJ writes for nydjlive.com. Well, there are two things trending on social media now. Funny enough, there is Punish Bulldog, hashtag Punish Bulldog, and hashtag Free Bulldog. Now, these are the two things trending on social media. Remember when we were having the discussion, there is this ambiguity as to whether or not the comment of Bulldog is a threat. Now, we have been speaking to lawyer Maurice Ampao, and he has been sharing some interesting views. My colleague Ernestina Sewa spoke to him, and this is what he had to say.
The arrest and detention of Bulldog should send a signal to everyone that we operate under the Constitution. Ghana is not a banana republic. Ghana is regulated by the Constitution, and freedom of expression is not exclusive. It's regulated. You don't exercise freedom of expression by insulting and attacking and threatening. Because your freedom to express is subject to the rights of others, and is subject to the prevention of crime, public interest, and national security. Therefore, going all out to threaten the president by saying that if the president fails to pay Menzgold customers, then he will not live to fulfill his term in office. Is committing 3 crimes. 1, threatening of the president. Number 2, blackmailing the president to pay Menzgold customers. Number 3, committing treasonable offense. By which means are you going to ensure that the president does not finish his term of office? Is by overthrowing the president. Or ending his term of office. And also, you are blackmailing the president because you are now telling the president that he fails to pay. So it's equally to somebody who has the nude figure of a girl and says that if you don't give me money, I will publish your picture. So he is backing the president by saying that if you fail to pay Menzgold customers, I will end your term. And the threat, so he has committed 3 crimes. 1, the crime of threat to the president. 2, the crime of blackmailing the president. And then 4, the crime of treasonable offense. And I think that it should be dealt with.
And that's lawyer Maurice Ampao, and that's all time will allow us on this episode of Bloggers Forum. Thank you for watching. My name is Benefo Boabin Abrantipa.